Are you going on a trip with your parent or grandparent and they have any kind of medical condition? Well, I'm going to share with you today things that we've learned during our trips with our mom that might help. So stick around. Hi everyone, it's Elise and welcome to my channel, Elise Between the Ears, and welcome to part 4 of what I've learned from my mom in our travels. So today what I wanted to talk about was medical and limitations, mainly medical things that we have learned from her. And like always, I have my notes to go by because I have a very short memory. So one of the first things that you're going to need is a med list, a medication list. This is important because it's going to be one of the first things that they're going to ask you for if you have to take a loved one, a parent or grandparent, to the ER or even a doctor's office. It's either good to have an actual med list for you, or if your parent or grandparent has a med list, that you at least know where they keep it. So if there's anything that reason why you have to take them to a hospital or doctor's office, that you know exactly where it is, because especially if you're stressed, if something's happened, you're not going to remember the pills that they take, and you may not even know what pills that they take. So it's good to have a med list that has the name of the pill, what they take, and the milligrams of what they take. The thing that you're going to need to know along with having a med list is knowing what your parent or grandparent is allergic to and what pills may not work with the other pill, like especially if they have some kind of adverse reaction to a particular medication. These are things that you're going to have to ask your parent or grandparent before you go on the trip. For example, my mom took some pneumonia medicine one time and basically had a seizure, and we had to actually give her CPR because her heart stopped. So you want to make sure that you know what medications work well together or that don't work well together. Mainly the medications that don't work well together, and if they are allergic to any of the medications. The third thing is make sure they have their medications. Sometimes elderly people, when they get busy, especially if they're trying to hurry, rush, they might get stressed and they may forget their medications. So you want to make sure that they have all of their medications that they need, especially the main ones that they are taking. Their pills, their insulin, if they have creams, drinks, whatever, just make sure that they have all of their medications. And you want to make sure that if they have medications that are supposed to be refrigerated, such as insulin, that you get what we got was like a insulated lunch bag, sandwich bag, that we put like an ice block in to put in our suitcase, and then took it to the resort, usually the resorts and a lot of different hotels, but especially at Disneyland and Disney World have like a little refrigerator that you can put these medications in. And if they don't, you may want to request one, just so you have a refrigerator that you can put these medications in. The fourth thing that you want to know is to find out if your parent or grandparent is diabetic. Because if they're diabetic, one, they need to eat properly so they don't get too much sugar. But also, especially when it's hot season, you want to make sure that their sugars don't go too low, because that's actually worse than if it's too high. So you may want to take, if they do have diabetes, you may want to take like glucose tablets and keep them with you. So if their blood sugars does drop, that you can give them a glucose tablet to boost their sugars. Or if their sugars drop, then if you can get them like an orange juice, an apple juice, or even if you can just get them some sugar of some sort, like a bite of a candy bar or something that will boost their sugar up and kind of an emergency situation. So if their blood sugar drops, you will know some of the signs is they may become sweaty, clammy, they may get very shaky, and in the elderly they also become kind of incoherent and kind of spacey. So those are some of the signs to look for if their blood sugar drops. The next thing that I want to talk about, this is number 5, is heat exhaustion. Now, elderly person will get hot relatively quickly, or if they're like our mom, her circulation is pretty poor, so she doesn't get hot too bad, but that's also bad because she doesn't realize that she's getting heat exhaustion. So some of the signs for heat exhaustion is, again, they get kind of spacey, I guess is the best word. They get kind of incoherent again. They get the white stuff around their mouth. You can tell their mouth is very dry, so you want to make sure that they get plenty of fluids. Besides plenty of fluid, that they also maybe get drinks that have electrolytes in it to help boost that hydration in their body. Now, if things get really, really bad and they do get heat exhaustion, get them in shade as quickly as possible or inside an air-conditioned location. Put a wet rag on their neck or on their head, but I've seen them mainly put the wet rags on their neck to cool them off. And then also it's good to carry just a little packet of table salt in those little packets that you get, that you can put in water, because the sodium in the salt will actually help with somebody who has gotten heat exhaustion. So anyway, so plenty of fluids, get into a shaded area or air-conditioned area, put a wet rag like on their neck, and make sure that they might even need to lay down for a while to get revitalized. Okay, the next 3 things I'm going to talk about, 6, 7, and 8, are basically kind of a little bit of what we've gone over, or some of the things that we've gone over. Like number 6 is their pacing and if they need a wheelchair or a scooter. And we talked a lot about scooters and wheelchairs in my last video, and I will put a card for it right up here, so you can go back and watch that if you need to. Just kind of going over some of the facts about wheelchairs and scooters. But anyway, if your parent or grandparent does have a mobility issue, it's always good to, even if they can walk quite a ways, you still may want to consider getting a scooter or a wheelchair, because the parks are so big, especially at Disney World, that it'll just help them have a more enjoyable trip. So like I said, watch my other video about scooters and wheelchairs. It'll talk more about pricing of them and everything. Number 7 on my list is know their limitations. Sorry, my cat is going to join us. He won't stay out. So if you see something black and white crawling around me, that's my cat. He was in my last video too. So number 7 on my list is knowing their limitations. Don't be a knucklehead and pay heed to the warning signs that they have on the rides. Just because they say that they can go on a ride doesn't necessarily mean that they can actually handle the ride. Let me give you a good example. Is I took my mom on Flight of Passage when we went in June of 2017. The sign said if you have a bad heart, or I can't remember the whole thing, but basically there was a warning sign, and I asked the cast member what the ride was like, and he said, oh, it's like going on a big bird. So I was thinking it was going to be kind of like soaring over the world, and so I thought, oh, my mom can handle this. And no, sorry, she got very dizzy, very disoriented, I thought she was having a heart attack, basically. So she got through the ride, and I had to rush her down to the first aid station. So don't be a knucklehead and pay heed to the warning signs. Know your parent or grandparent's limitation. Some may be fine with it because they're healthy and they're very active. Some may think that they can handle it and they can't. So anyway, know their limitations. Which brings me to my last point. Number 8 is to know where the first aid stations are in each park, either in Disney World or Disneyland or any park or vacation area that you're in. Like I said, when my mom was, like I said, when I took my mom on Flight of Passage, I thought she was having a heart attack. She was very disoriented, and I had to literally rush her down to the first aid station, which I want to say it was in Africa, near Tucker House. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up and post it. But just maybe at the beginning of your day, go to the information desk and find out where the location to the first aid station is, just in case there is any kind of incident. When you're with your parent or grandparent and they're elderly, they have any kind of medical conditions, it's always good to know where the first aid station is. I know that Disney's very good at getting help to the person wherever they are, but it's just good to know where it is so you can get there as soon as possible. So that's it. I hope some of these points that I shared will help as you go on your vacation with your parent or grandparent to your Disney destination. And if you liked what you heard, please hit that like button because it really does help. And please subscribe down below, and I hope that you will come back next time. Oh, and make a comment. I'd be really interested to hear some of the things that you've done when you've taken your parent or grandparent on a trip, Disney trip, or any trip, or if you have any questions that I didn't make clear enough for you, please comment below as well. I really would like to hear from you. So anyway, until next time, I hope you have a great day and a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye!